Okay, the next section we're going to cover is a thing called setback. So in your Str8-Lign wheel alignment system, you get a digital distance measuring tool. It's a very simple tool to use, and it also has all the mathematical abilities that you don't need to calculate anything. So essentially when you turn it on, you get a little red laser, and I'm not sure if you can see it on the wall there. And when I press the button, it gives me the distance from the front of the unit to whatever surface I'm pointing the laser onto. What I do then is it's got a plus minus function. So I press it a second time, I take a new reading, and what it calculates for me is the difference between my first reading and my second reading. Now what I'm going to do is just try and explain to you as simply as possible what setback is. So I'm using two of our maze plates. But essentially, your rear and front wheels on a car should be directly in line with each other. And setback is a phenomenon if one of these wheels is shifted either forwards or backwards. So if we understand it, the wheels should be directly opposite each other. If a wheel is shifted backwards, which can happen in an accident or just hitting a pothole or a pavement, it's either shifted backwards or forwards, that's a setback problem. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how we take that setback measurement with the gauge as shown earlier. So it's quite important that when we put the units, the targets, onto the wheels, you see that they self-center. So if we look in an imaginary line down the center of our unit, down the target, you'll see it's centered with the center of the axle. It might be 1 or 2 millimeters out either way, but it's pretty much self-centering. Okay, what's important here is that when I put the gauge onto the front unit, that I slide it all the way back to the back of the target as far as I can move it. I'm now going to take a reading. Which is giving me the distance from the center of this wheel to the center of the rear wheel. Okay, so that's giving me the distance from the middle of the front wheel to the middle of the back wheel. Now what I do is I press the minus side. I'm going to disappear out of picture, but I'm going to do exactly the same procedure on the other side. And because I've pressed the minus button, it's going to tell me the difference between the left and right hand sides of the vehicle. Okay, so the first reading we took was the right hand side of the vehicle, and it was 3028 millimeters. The second reading we took was the left hand side of the vehicle, and that's 3024 millimeters, giving us a difference of only 4 millimeters. So a 4 millimeter difference over 3 meters is very, very small. If we had 15 or 20 millimeters, I would suspect that we potentially have a setback problem. So anytime we're doing a diagnostics on a vehicle and we get a variance between the left hand side and the right hand side that is bigger than, I would say, 15 millimeters, it's reason for concern. And what we do next is we check the caster on the front of the vehicle. If the caster on the front of the vehicle is the same on the left and right hand side, then that variance can only be on the rear axle, and it is a setback problem and would require your repair.